And welcome back to another episode of Hitting the Bars. I'm with Keltie next to Savvy1, and instead virtually we have a special guest today. Pernilla, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be chatting with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for being willing to come on. You are a YouTube star, an Instagram star, a dancer, and a model.
A woman of many talents. So you said that the cliche is the same, man of many talents, and I almost said that. I was like, wait, what am I saying?
I don't do too much modeling and dancing anymore, but I used to do a lot of that, and now I'm more focused on creating content to hopefully help people, just like you guys.
I love that.
Where were you? Because I know we had to schedule this around your on set today. What were you on set for? I'm going to pry. I need to know.
That's a little project I'm doing these next 3 weeks for Beachbody. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's they do little like fitness programs. So I'm one of the people in the background. I did it in 2019 with this trainer called Mwala, and usually I don't really do jobs like this anymore, but that experience was just so fun. And also just being around other people, as you guys know, we work so much by ourselves, and there's so much like just alone time, and so getting to work with people and having a little bit of a community these 3 weeks I'm really excited about. So yeah, that's what I was doing.
Oh, that's so fun. What's your day like on there? Are you like just kind of waiting around and then suddenly you're out there working out, or is it like behind the scenes, or are you full like 8 hours of working out?
Do you mean like in normal life or right now on set?
Like today, just on set. We'll get into your normal life, but I'm just curious about on set right now.
It was just like a 5-hour rehearsal, and we went through 4 of the workouts, but they were pretty simple today. Sometimes we go really hard and go like heavy weights, but then we'll just do 2 workouts if we go that. But usually it's like either a half day like today where it's 5 hours, or a full day where it's from like 9 to 5, and it can be intense, but sometimes it's chill, and today was more chill.
Oh, that's nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And where are you originally from?
I'm from Denmark.
What part of Denmark?
Aarhus, have you been?
No, but one of my best friends is Danish. And so, yeah.
Right, you were saying that. Yeah. It's the second biggest city. Not that it's big, but every city in Denmark is pretty small.
Yeah. What made you...
Is big,
because you live in LA now. What made you move to LA from Denmark?
Yeah, that was for dancing. When I was, I did a dance education in Copenhagen, and some of the people that were dancing in that dance studio had been to LA and dance, and I was just so intrigued by it, and so I wanted to try it for myself, and so I got a 6 months visa, and when I came here for those 6 months, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to stay. This is amazing. And then after a few years of battling with getting a visa, I finally got it. And then when I got here, I was working as a dancer and model at first, but then I also got into fitness, and fitness really just helped me mentally believe more in myself. And I've always been super insecure and had so many like limiting beliefs as to what I was capable of doing, and just so insecure and like, oh, what are people thinking of me now when I do this and that, and just such a people pleaser. And I feel like when I found like my strength within fitness, it really just changed my mindset, and I got this new level of confidence, and just it helped me so much in my life. And I wanted for anyone else who also had been going through like feeling insecure and wanting big things for life, but just having that lack of confidence to actually pursue it. I wanted to help others get that as well. And so that's how I like started transitioning, and it makes me so happy. And I'll still dance for me now, but it's more just for my own happiness. I feel like a lot of us, we will pursue something for a career, but then once we do that, the spark of it can go away a little bit. And I'm really happy with the transition. It makes me feel really happy doing what I'm doing now. Yeah.
You can see it just like radiates when you talk about it. So like, I love when you hear people talk about that. You see so genuine, you're like, it just lights you up. And I was like, I gotta rewind it back then. I was like, when you came and you're from dancing, you get more in the fitness world, like what was that transition kind of like? Like, was it just suddenly you just started like weight training a bit more? Did you start hitting up like classes? Was it just like, where was kind of that transition and how did you just start on the fitness journey?
I started with just like home workouts a little bit. And then I slowly started going to the gym, but not really knowing what I was doing. And then I think I bought a program at one point, and then I was like, I actually want to know how to do this. And so I took the personal trainer certificate, and that like got me into understanding how to actually build muscle and how to a little bit more about nutrition and slowly, like, I feel like the personal trainer certificate, it helped me understand it, but then I feel like you learn so much by doing and just continuously practicing and figuring out what works for my body and what makes me feel good. Because there's so many people saying that there's a right way, like there's this is the right way and this is the right way, but I just feel like it's about figuring out what works for you. I know you guys are both all about that, like figuring out what makes you happy within moving your body and nutrition.
Okay, I got a funny question. It made me think. I was like, those are what, finding out what works for you. Did you find anything that didn't? Like anything, like you went down and you're like, I'm going to try, we'll just say Pilates just for argument's sake. Like you're like, I tried Pilates for a month and you're like, that was kind of boring. Did you ever like experiment with something that you're like, I'm just not about that, or running, or did you ever find anything like that?
I feel like anything that's like upbeat, I'm all about it. Yeah. So like, but okay, so I think to your question, I think I have phases. So I'll go through a phase where I'm all about running. And then that may fade away a little bit. And then I'm all about like muscle, almost like bodybuilding kind of workouts. And then I'll go through a phase where I'm like, I'll work out, but I'll also really prioritize yoga. So I think it's more of like, what season am I in this time of my life, and what kind of workouts works for me right now. And I'll like have maybe 2 or 3 months where I'll be super focused on one thing, and then I like to change it up a little bit. So I feel like I enjoy all kinds of movements, but just for different periods of my life or times. Yeah, absolutely. What about you guys? Have you ever found something that just does not work for you?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of them. Because I feel like, you know, when you find your love for fitness and then you're like, well, I mean, I've never tried this, you know, I've never tried, I can't stand Pilates. Yeah, I'll give that. Like, I think it's extremely boring. I tried the trendy classes in New York and I just hate it. And so I can relate where you're like, you just trial and error. Not to pivot away from that, but I have been dying to know, well, I know you said you don't do it as often anymore, but what was it like and is like being a model? I'm always so curious about that industry, and, you know, like, what does your day-to-day look like when you do that? How do you even book shoots? Like, how does that go?
It is fun, but also a very different life to how we live our life now, because as a model, it's like you show up on set, and then you just do whatever you're told. You put on the clothes they're telling you. You pose the way, the style they want you to. So you're kind of like you kind of just do what you're told, where I feel like the life we live, it's like we constantly have to be creative and come up with so many ideas. And I feel like with just like the day-to-day life of like actually going on a shoot is like, you just do. And it's also fun because you meet so many people. It can be super fun because you can, you know, you meet people and it's fun to be posing and looking tough if it's like a fitness shoot. That's super fun. Or like putting on fancy clothes if it's more like fashion clothes. And the life of being a model, I think it's a lot of castings where you get a lot of no's. It's a lot of application out to companies that you know you want the job, and it's a ton of no's. And then when you get a yes for one of those really cool jobs, that's so exciting. It's kind of the same life actually as being a dancer, where you go to a ton of auditions and you hear so many no's, and you just have to be strong enough to keep going, and then you get that yes after maybe, I don't know how long, but it can take a while, and then you book this really cool job, and it's just so fun and exciting. So it's kind of like a roller coaster. It also, I think, depends on the agent you have. I think it helps sometimes having an agent. But I've been with different agencies, and the biggest one I was was with Wilhelmina Models. And that's like a really well-known modeling agency. And I was so excited to be with them because that was a huge opportunity. And my agent was awesome. But what I found, because I wasn't like the top model at Wilhelmina Models, he didn't fight for me as much as maybe he did for the other bigger models. Or maybe it's just because we were such a big company with so many models that you get less opportunities, where I feel like sometimes if I'm with a smaller agency, the agent will really fight for you, and you get more job opportunities because they're really like fighting for you. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, fully. It did. Would you or have you ever thought about acting? Since you're in LA, you're used to that lifestyle of like resilient, even with the nose. Like, does that interest you?
There's something about learning a script that I'm just terrible at. Like I can't. Even so I've taken different YouTube courses, and it's like you need to write a script, and then I try it out, and it just comes out so unnatural. And I know that that's a skill you could learn, obviously, but I love being able. Maybe that could have been a route that I was going down, and I feel like with dancing and modeling, you do kind of have to act in certain ways, and I'm never saying no to something, because in a year I could have changed my mindset, but right now I just love making my own stuff and just being able to be myself while doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love I feel like your videos on YouTube are very like theatrical, and you're really good at kind of the storytelling aspect, and you're an actress in my mind.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess it is little movies that we make on YouTube, isn't it? It's like you take people through a journey. So thank you. Have you guys ever thought of that, or have you always known that this is what you wanted to do? I know you've been doing it for many years, but how was that transition for you guys?
I think for me, like, it was when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to go into medicine. And then I realized it's because I wanted to be on Grey's Anatomy. I didn't want to go into medicine. But I just knew I wanted to be, like, I was always in love with TV and movies. And it's taken me many years to figure out, like, what part of that it was. So I've tried, like, the broadcasting. I did some acting courses, and I did all this. And, like, same kind of idea. I was like, oh, acting was fun. But, like, I like performing. There was something about, like, and I'm sure it resonates with you, like, acting is you're sitting there, you're writing script, and you're just like redoing, and you're becoming someone else, versus like I wanted like an artistic freedom. And then that's why I liked actually making the movies and YouTube. And then through making the movies, I realized I actually like the music videos and the music and the scoring and that's my favorite part about YouTube, is like making the sound effects and music and scoring and like the emotion with that. So I think it's like, I think a lot of us are like that. I'm sure you could resonate. You're like, I like this world, but like what parts of it? We could all act if we wanted to, but like, is reading a script and becoming someone else like the part you really like? Or do you like the movement of your body? Do you like inspiring other people to move your body? Do you like the audio, the visual? So that's where I fall. How about you?
I don't even know. I feel like I've always been like fascinated in that like creative space, and my mom was a travel nurse, so like she would live in LA, and I remember her neighbors would score soundtracks for like Fault in Our Stars, and I would go to lunch with him and I'd pick his brain and be like, what is it like working in that industry of like of just entertainment? So I think I always knew I loved like the idea of being in like the limelight in a sense, but not to the extent of like what some people do. But I knew I was introvert, extrovert, in the sense of like, once people got to know me, I liked having a bubbly personality. So I was like, oh, it'd be really fun if I could turn that into a career of being myself. And I fell in love with fitness, kind of like you, and was like, well, to me, it's so simple now. I kind of cracked that equation. Why can't people figure this out? And so I'm like, okay, well, let me try and help, because I wish somebody told me sooner. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't compare our industry to really what Hollywood does or the modeling, but I think we do get a lot of freedom with it, and a little bit more leniency, which is like crazy that you've kind of come from both, you know? And even, you know, not to speak of, you moved from Denmark to LA, and like a lot of people are nervous to pick up and move. Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, it was definitely scary. And I had a boyfriend of many, many years that also was leaving, and obviously my family. So that was so scary. But I think we've all tried in our life having this like intuition, knowing that like, I need to do this. And I feel like because I just went for 6 months, it was a little easier, you know, just taking like at a specific time. And then I knew if I didn't like it, I could always go home after that. But I just felt so in love with it. And my family obviously didn't want me to move here, but I feel like we've all found such a great way to stay close while me still being here.
Yeah.
But it's definitely scary. But I just feel like we should all like take just like a little step and do that thing that we know within. And it is so scary, but how can we make it less scary? I think it's like a good question to ask ourselves. If like for me, it was like, okay, if I go for 6 months, then that sounds okay. Like for everyone who's like debating whether or not to do a risky move, like, okay, how can I make it just a little bit less scary? And then go for it. Cause I think when we have a little bit of a pull for us to do something, I think there's always a reason, but we won't find out if, you know, we won't really know what that is until we actually take that leap and try to do it. But yeah, it was scary, but fun.
I love that. Now I selfishly have to butt in and ask this question because I'm someone who's from North America that now goes to Scandinavia a lot, and like I go to Malmo, so right across the bridge from Copenhagen in Denmark, so I spend time. What has been the biggest difference from you noticing from Scandinavia to come to North America, like cultural differences in your like day-to-day life? What are some of the big changes you've noticed?
I feel like I remember when I first came here, I felt like everyone was just so talkative. Like you could make friends with someone you just like was on the sidewalk next to you. That was like huge, because especially coming to a different country, you realize like you're like, I have no friends, how am I going to make friends? But then when people are just so open, that was awesome. Food is a big one. I feel like the food I grew up eating is very different than here. It was very much like fresh produce. Is that the right word?
Yep. You nailed it.
Still have some Danish language issues sometimes. But yeah, the food definitely, and like just the meals you eat. But I love eating in America now, because you find your ways to like. Also, I guess after getting more like knowledge within like what's good to eat and what's not so good to eat, I feel like you find your way. And there's so many options in America as well, which is awesome. So many. Less options in Denmark, but also very clean, I would say, food wise. And what else? The weather in LA is just incredible.
It does, nowhere beats it.
No, it's just, I love that. I feel like, when it's dark and I think there's always a way to make yourself feel better, even during like winter periods in Denmark. I remember like trying to like really hype myself up during, or at least like take advantage of those months, because they're also really cozy. So there's you know, good and bad in every place that you get to live. I think it's just about obviously focusing on the good where you get to live. But those I think are the things. There's definitely more, but you know, there's differences. I think people in Denmark are maybe more closed off at first, but then when you do get close, then they're super vulnerable with you. Where here, I feel like people are super open, and then you know. It maybe take a little longer to really dig in and get super vulnerable with someone. But that could just be my personal experience. That might not be everywhere.
No, I'd agree with it fully. As someone who's gone back and forth, is like North Americans love small talk. Like silent elevator is like a forbidden thought. Like it's just like, and I catch myself as like Canadian, just like I go to other places and I'm like, you got to fill the space. Like you got to don't let their noise. Versus like when I'm in Scandinavia, it's like we can all sit in silence. It's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world, like, versus Canadians and Americans I know, too. It's just pure anxiety. Yeah. But I have to...
How has it been for you? No, I was just curious, like, how it's been for you.
Yeah, I kind of find it like, it's kind of like the reverse of what you felt. Is like I went there and like I noticed like the food it's easier to eat healthy, and not that like it's like boring healthy. It's just like fresher and better quality everything, but there's not as much as it. Like there's certain like things you just can't get. Like it's a less selection, but the selection's really good you have. And definitely I find like it's calmer. There's less like you can just kind of go about your day. It's like a peacefulness that's there. It's just like a less stress. And not that it's not stressful. I think it's just like comes with a bit of a higher quality of life for the general population. So I just found like it's just kind of like this happiness. People are content, enjoying life. There's a bit more enjoyment. There's a bit more of a rat race. Like I notice when I'm in Vancouver or especially Toronto, it's like go, go, go. And like, don't take too long tapping your card because the person behind you is mad. But then at the same time, we're all happy and how are you going? And it's just like kind of constant stimulation. Then I go there and it's calm. And then I get a little bored and I need stimulation. They get overworked. And so it's nice having the balance. So that's how I compare it. I wonder if you have any, because we've talked about with our audience and we've both moved, not to the extent you have, to another country, but you know, I moved temporary back and forth and I moved across country, and Sav's in, I guess, another, what would it be, state? Territory, that's the word. So do you have any tips for the audience for getting up and just moving? Like of any recommendation, whether something that could help push them to do it or just tip for going through those kind of hard times?
Yes. I think the first thing is what I chatted about before of just going for, you know, going there and experiencing the place. Because I think that if you just do it for a month at first or however long you choose to, you will, first of all, meet someone, which will give you recommendations. And from meeting just one person, they can open up like a community for you, because they'll maybe introduce you to 3 friends who then will introduce you to 3 friends, and then you start taking classes together, and then you start doing like different things. So just like having, I feel like we as humans, we feel so much safer when we know someone, right? And when we can kind of just the fear of being alone, I think a lot of us are afraid of. So I would say going there just to visit at first, and then also figuring out, is this actually something I want to do? And then definitely like go out and take, I'm not the kind of person that will like go out and party, but I am the kind of person that will like go out and take classes, and then I'm an introvert, but I also am pretty open, but then I'll like have to push myself. If I like see someone and we took the same fitness class together, for example, then I do a morning routine, and in the morning I'll be like, okay, what's something I need to focus on, or something that I could do today that would push me outside of my comfort zone. It's like, okay, I have to go up and just chat with 3 people today. And if I had told myself that in the beginning of the day, then when you go to take that class and you see someone who looks friendly, who you maybe could have either just a little chat with, or actually, you know, you never know if it could lead to something bigger at some point. But like pushing yourself to do that, and just like doing it, because we're so afraid of doing things like that, just walking up to someone. Some people are, at least. And if we just like give ourselves that little push constantly, then first of all, we're going to become more confident within doing things like that. But it's also going to open us up to, you know, meeting more people and feeling good in that new place that we're maybe moving to.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I love that.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
You too, Sav. You've been moving a lot. Haven't
I know. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Huntington. Yeah, for the listeners, we knew each other. We live in the same complex in Huntington, Pernilla and I.
Yes,
and
you did.
I wouldn't call you an introvert because you came up to me and you introduced yourself to me. I feel like I was more introverted and like, oh my gosh, like I always get so nervous talking to people. But that's how we got connected. And then, you were friends with Millie. And
yes.
Yeah, but no, we left Huntington, moved to Miami, then fell in love with Puerto Rico, moved to Puerto Rico, and now it's kind of like, we'll do, you know how you went to Tulum, like, and you were like, I still have an apartment in LA, but I'm going to move to Tulum. So it's like, we did that with New York, and now we're going to do that with Europe. But I was so fascinated when you moved. I know, I'm excited for that. But when you moved to Tulum,
super cool.
Like, didn't you move by yourself?
So I went there first. I didn't really move there, but I lived there I stayed there for a while. But I first was there with a friend for 2 weeks, and then I actually went to New York with another friend. But then I hadn't like decided where I was going to go after New York, but I was like, I need to go back to Tulum because it was just so awesome. And so I decided to go back to Tulum, and yes, I did that by myself. But because I'd been there before with a friend, I mean, I could have done it by myself as well. I'm like I like doing things alone. There's something, I just enjoy that. But I think because I had already been there with a friend, I'd met a few people and I kind of like knew the places. And so, yeah, I did go back there and was there for a little while by myself. And it was, okay, so this is too, like, it was really awesome. But at one point, because I knew I wasn't going to stay, I didn't, like, pursue making deeper connections, or I didn't, like, really pursue me seeing people. So I did at one point miss LA, but I think what I missed was like my community here and spending more time with people, because I did end up being a lot alone. And I think at that point I was like really focused on certain work tasks, so I ended up just working so much that I think I had a little bit of a loneliness bobbling up, and that's why I was like, okay, now it's time for me to go back. But it was an incredible experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I would recommend for anyone to do it alone, because you learn so much, and it's easier to, you actually, like, when you're by yourself, like, you end up chatting with people in when you're traveling. I know you guys both know that from your travels, but yeah, I highly recommend it. I think you grow so much when you do it by yourself.
Yeah. My personal question, well, do you like LA more than Orange County now that you've lived in both?
I think so there's like certain things I miss about Orange County in LA. I think LA is like my place, because I have my most of my friends live here, and this is like where, like, the beach body job that I'm doing with, like, we're all dancers on set, and like I've known some of them, and like all my dance friends are here, and just like when I still do shoots, it's all here, and my agents are here, and so I just think LA is my city. But I miss like the beach, the vibes. Oh my gosh, Orange County is amazing. Yeah. What do you like more? I know you've been to LA as well.
I think
like Orange County.
I'm kind of like you, where I like the hustle and bustle in LA, but I love the beach, like laid back.
Yeah.
I loved that community, but it was, after a while, it just got too small town for us, and we were like, I just need something new to grow.
Yeah.
But I will always love it. I think it is like heaven on earth, but LA is like, if you want to get rowdy, if you want to make some changes, like, you go to LA and you meet incredible people. Everyone's trying to be somebody in LA, and that's, I think, the beauty of it. It's a classic Hollywood. But do you have anything to add? Is there? I know you wanted to ask her a question.
I wanted to ask her many questions, but I don't know. Did you have one specifically in mind? But I guess we'll go with kind of bringing it back to, we've talked a lot about travel and workout and all that, or travel and moving and that, but bring it back to a bit more of the fitness. So ask people what they really want to know. So we're going to ask you some little workout questions. First of all, what's your current workout routine like? And I'm sure it changes a lot depending, like you said, on set and all that, but kind of like bring us through a week of what your routine's looking like.
I'm right now, and for a while, have actually gotten into this, like, just listening to my body as to, like, when do I have rest days? When are my legs ready for another leg day? When is my upper body ready for another upper body day? But there's certain exercises that I do, like, consistently. And if I had to, like, give a clear schedule, it would probably be, like, legs/booty. I always try to do extra butt stuff, because that is just a muscle on me that does not want to grow very easily, and I just love leg day. It just makes me feel so good when I lift heavy in that way. And so upper body, lower body, then I'll maybe do lower body, upper body, then I'll maybe do a lower body if I feel ready for it. It may be a little lighter, or it may be even heavier if the first leg day wasn't too strong or heavy. Then I may do upper body again. Then I may take a rest day. Like, I really listen to my body, and I'll go hard if I'm like ready for it, and I'll go light if I'm like, oh, I'll just do something light. And when it comes to cardio, it's very much when I like, what do I feel? Like, sometimes I'm in phases where I want to go hard because it makes me feel good. I feel, for me, that's what cardio is all about. I feel like you guys both run, and like you probably see it as therapy as well. It's just such a beautiful thing for the mind as well. So that sometimes I'll do it every day, and other times I won't. And it also comes with how much I'm dancing, because obviously dancing is very much cardio. So if I have a week where I'm like, I want to dance a lot this week, then I'll do a ton of cardio, and then I'll have other weeks where maybe I don't do any. So I can't really say like a clear, specific workout routine. But I do just try to listen to my body, and I do progressive overload. I always try to like focus on how much did I do last time, and then how can I do a little bit more next time. I want to be more specific if there's something that I can share that could be more specific.
I think that's perfect, because I think the next trend is, like, we talk about intuitive dieting and intuitive eating. I think intuitive training is kind of the next wave too, in the sense, like, intuitive doesn't mean like, oh, I can't push myself today, you know, I gotta take it easy. And like, I think intuitive means like, you know what, I have had a few rest days, I'm like recovered enough, I can push myself. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, I'm not fully recovering, getting in tune with your body, being like, I need to focus more on stretching today. I need more of a sweat. And the only way to really tell that, and like mindful of, like you said, you're like, it's still progressively overload. Like next week, if I do squats again, try and lift a little heavier. But I think that's the next realm of like not being too crazy with it, and listening to your body of when to push it and when to take a step back. So I think just the audience hearing, like you are in such unbelievable, like good shape, and you're such like a fitness role model. So hearing that, like you can just listen to your body, so you're not sitting. Oh, look, I love it. Girls supporting so girls. Yeah. But it's just so nice seeing someone like you not like sitting there and being like, I'm listening to my body and look what it does, instead of just being like, you know, ignoring the signals your body's giving you. So I think that's like perfect for people to hear.
I do like to move my body every day though, but sometimes they'll maybe just be like a 1 hour hike. And when I say hike, I don't have a very intense hike. It's literally just like a little bit uphill, but like,
I'm the same.
Then that may be what, and a question that maybe for the listeners could be really useful is like, if you don't feel like working out, ask yourself, do I not feel like working out, or do I not feel like doing that workout, like the original planned workout? Because oftentimes we'll be like, oh, I don't, like, it's leg day today, I just don't, you know, sometimes our body's just not ready for it. And it's like asking ourselves, oh, maybe it's because what I need today is a yoga class, or like whatever that could feel. And when I do that, sometimes for me it's even just doing different exercises than what I know. It may be the same body part, but it's like doing completely different exercises, and that is like, oh, I actually feel like doing that, and then I get moving and I feel so good afterwards. So maybe that could be a good question for someone listening.
I love that. Yeah, thank you for saying that, because that's such a good point. I think a lot of us could relate to that. I mean, I'll go being like, oh, I'm gonna hit legs like I did upper body. I'm usually pretty like, this is my split. And then if I'm like, oh, I just feel drained, and then I'm like, I'd rather go run outside. It's beautiful sunset, birds are chirping. I'd rather just like listen to some music and not feel rushed and not hear plates being smashed together. So you're totally right, where sometimes you're just like, I want to work out, and it's okay if I don't do whatever I was, you know, leg day, whatever it is, it's okay. Like, you're not going to diminish everything that you built. Take that day and do what works best, because most likely I probably had a better workout than if I forced myself to do legs when I wasn't feeling it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And oftentimes if we do that, then the next day we're going to be like, I am ready, and then we have such a more better of a workout because we listen to our body in that way. Yeah, I agree.
And I think it goes back to like what you're saying, the seasons. It's like also read yourself. Like, I think it's like you're like heavy and like, I want to like lift heavy stuff and I want to be a badass in the gym and like do that. And then you do it for a while and you're just like, oh, I just have nothing. You're like, so do Pilates for a few months. And it's like, are you going to get as yoked as possible? No, but I think that's your goal at that point. So like, do Pilates for a bit, and then Pilates will get too boring. And then so you'll want to get into running, and then you'll get too tight from running. So you stretch, and like you said, and sometimes the season is a week and sometimes it's 3 months. And like, just knowing that like it's okay, like, you know what I mean, that doesn't mean you're failing just because you're not in the mood to do like powerlifting right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And before we get,
I feel,
oh, go ahead,
go for it.
No,
just I feel like if it's, you know, people will be it's just important to remember how important diet is as well for our energy and just the results, because I feel like if we just move the way that we feel is somewhat aligned with our goals, but also what feels good, like finding that balance, but just keeping our nutrition in healthy in a way that makes us feel good, and that's going to look different for everyone. But if we just remember that the nutrition aspect of it is also just so important for how we feel and the energy that we have, and so then we can kind of move the way that we feel like in the moment if we also just make sure to eat the way that we all know what nutrition makes us feel good long term, and it's different for everyone, but just remembering that aspect of it as well, I think has helped me a lot, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask a question before we play a game with you. What is something that like no one knows about you, or just like you haven't shared on your channel? Like, give me the juicy Pernilla tea. Can be anything and everything.
I feel like I share so much on my podcast.
I know, that's where I'm like, ooh. Well, that's okay. What is something
our audience might not know? Just say
exactly.
Juicy. It's okay if you've said it before.
If I have said it before, it's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Okay. Whichever. Yeah, that's
we'll accept it.
What's some? Give me just a second to think of what I can think of. I think actually what comes to me that I feel like I need to share right now, because I think people listening may not think that of people like us. I'm thinking maybe you guys feel that way too, but just how insecure I can feel sometimes putting myself out on the internet. When I share something that is vulnerable, it's okay on my podcast because I feel like I know I don't have as big of an audience and it's not as out there because it's voice, like, so I feel like I can share things deeper there. But like when for me, vulnerability is strength, because it's easy to put up a front of like, I have my entire life together. But when you're more vulnerable and you dare to share the things that are scary to you, I think that to me is very scary to put out. So whenever I do that, like the fear of judgment is massive for me. And it's something that I always have worked on and I'm still working on. Just like me knowing that when I put things out there, it is to help someone. And yes, I am going to be judged because everyone has their own perspective and opinion, but that is the only way that I can actually help someone, is if I dare to be vulnerable and be real. But just saying that my fear of judgment can still be massive, depending on, again, the season of my life, like where I'm at, how I'm doing, all that stuff. But I do it anyway because I focus more on who is it that I'm trying to help, right? Rather than focusing on my insecurity. And so when I put the focus on them rather than me, then that helps me. But just, I think it's important to share that I still am can get so insecure and so afraid of putting things out there. And that I think that may never go leave my body, but I think I'm getting better at it as I go. And the reason I felt like sharing this is because I feel like everyone listening has something in their life that they want to do and they're afraid of going for it because they have their version of that. For me, it's like the fear of judgment. They have their version of whatever that is, but just doing it anyway, because when we do things that are a little bigger for our life, then we are going to be scared. And I still am working on that like weekly. So yeah, I don't know if that was a good enough answer. It wasn't very juicy, but it's just what came up.
I actually think it was, and I think like you said it perfectly. And I honestly didn't know that about you, because I see on your YouTube channel you're very open about your life. You're open about the goods and the bads, right? So I think that's so cool for you to share that, like, this is hard for me. I am actually not an open book. I think it's really amazing and probably almost therapeutic for you to kind of release all of that energy and like how you feel, and then like know that it's helping somebody on the other side, whether they're going through a breakup or they're going through moving somewhere new or whatever it may be. Like, it helps them in the end, even if you don't know. But those are the people the silent people are the ones that like you impact the most. And you don't even realize it until you meet somebody on the street and they tell you, X, Y, and Z because they found your channel. I think that's amazing.
And
Thank
I just
you.
have to say,
Thank you.
there's like someone would look at you and be like, you're gorgeous, smart, like talented and all this. So it's kind of like how, like, of course she's going to feel good, like putting herself on there. So it's just being like, oh, we all feel nervous about those kind of things. So I think thank you for sharing that. That is more vulnerable and like, just that was juicy enough. Just a good juicy peach.
Juicy in our
That's
eyes.
good. Thank you. And thank you guys. The thing you mentioned about the silent followers, or that really hit too, because I feel like I'm a silent, like I love watching you guys' content, whatever, but I won't always comment, but I'm sending, love while I'm watching it. So that's, it's really cool to keep in mind also, just for the listeners, that maybe they put something out there in whatever way that looks like for them, but maybe they won't get as much response that they maybe want, but they may be impacting people in a bigger way than they're even aware of. So yeah, thank you for saying that. That's good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, we
Good
love
thing to
that.
Remember. Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. We had a fun, we're like, let's end on a little fun note. So we got two segments for you. And the first one is we're titling it the hot or not. So we're just going to list off some things in the fitness world, and you just kind of have to give up like thumbs up, love, or you can be like, you know what? If it disappeared tomorrow, I'm not mad about it. So hot or not. We're just hit it off. Do you want to hit off the first
Okay.
Okay. First thing, hot or not, energy drink.
Can I say not too much? But yes, if necessary, but it can also, I think, really mess with our hormones, or like mess with our energy in the end. But I do like it sometimes.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
good
So
answer.
so you're middle.
Kind of hot, kind of hot. I'm middle.
Hot or cold? Hot or cold? Some days good, some days bad.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, hip thrusts.
Hot.
Yeah. She said
Love
she
a
loves
hip thrust.
loves her booty workouts.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know what?
Yeah, I love a hip thrust. Yeah, I'm still working on them. Yeah, it's
Same. Aren't we all?
See, I like what they do. I hate them. That's the thing is, I like what they do, but I hate the actual hip thrust.
Oh, okay. You're talking like if we like the actually do it. It's not my favorite exercise to do. Definitely not.
Okay.
But I like what they do. Yeah.
Okay. So
Very
once
true.
again, middle ground.
Middle ground.
All right.
Yeah. Oh
next
my god.
one.
I'm boring.
No, you're not. No.
You're very Scandinavian, just
Yeah.
like right in the middle, just happy, perfect.
Yeah.
No one's mad.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Lululemon.
Hot.
Okay.
Love a Lulu.
Oh,
Yeah.
next up, protein bars.
Hot. It's but not too much. Sometimes I'm in the mood, but I don't eat it every day at all.
Yeah.
I maybe have 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, manifesting.
Hot. Very, very, very hot.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I know.
What? Wait, I'm so curious. Sorry, I'm gonna mess this up. But what are you guys on manifesting? Are you?
I think you could speak anything to existence in the fact it reminds you every day. Do you know what I mean? I was like, it's just one of those, if you
I
come
like
up every
that.
day, and it's like a constant reminder of like, say I was like, my goal in life is to be the best pizza chef. And I say every day I'm going to be the best pizza chef. So every day I'm going to be reminded I should work on my pizza. That's
Yeah.
a really random analogy,
That is-
but like,
I thought you said peaches.
It makes sense.
and so yeah, that's why I
And
was
then
like,
you align your actions with it, right? Because you say it every day. Yeah.
so whether it's spiritual or just analytical, I was like, who cares? It gets you there. So do it.
I go both ways on that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How about you, Sav?
Oh no, I love it. But I also like visual. Like,
Yeah.
I was just telling Keltie, I'm like, I need to work on some personal things on like really what I want in this career and things like that. And I'm like, I'm going to take a day and like, I'm a visual where I need to write it out. I need photos, images, I just need to like emulate what I want. And then I will look at that constantly. And I'm a weirdo and I always say things before I go to bed. Like always.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I have like a little prayer.
I love
Like I say
that.
every night,
Yeah.
it's like 3 things I want and 1 thing I'm thankful for. And I was like, I don't know who I'm saying this to. I don't know if it's myself, it's the universe. I don't know if it's God. But I'm like, we'll have a little talk, a little reminder.
Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. Love it.
Okay, next up, not quite as deep. Ginger shots.
Hot. Don't do it enough, but very hot.
Okay, love
Yeah.
it. Next up, probiotics.
Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I think. I mean, I take seeds. I love seeds.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
See? Great product.
Yeah.
Anyways, don't worry. There's no wrong or right answer. This is
You're
just
allowed
pure
to-
fun.
Yeah.
You could say you hate it all, and I'd be like, valid. You could say you love it all, I'd be like, valid. It's just
No,
I
manifesting,
actually-
hate it. And we'd be like, all right.
Okay. Yeah, I can feel it's like regardless of what I say, you guys are just super accepting of it. So I feel that.
Oh yeah, I love when people hate things, and I love when people love things. Like either way, I'm like, oh
Yeah,
I'm here
it's-
for it.
It's fun to hear so many different perspectives. I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially when
Yeah.
it's not deep like ginger shots. Like no one really cares.
Yeah.
And last one, the most divisive thing in the fitness industry, but not really, booty bands.
I honestly don't use them that much anymore, if ever, really.
They've kind of lost
Yeah,
their
I know.
pizzazz.
I was going to say, you don't really see them as often. I definitely,
they
I used to
have
warm up
their-
with them all the time. I don't really anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, same. It used to be my everyday thing, but no.
I
Not
think they're in their
anymore.
flop era.
They are in their flop era.
Yeah.
They'll make a comeback. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Someone will
They
sell
always
it.
do.
Yeah, they're definitely good.
Someone
Yeah,
trendy.
they-
Kim
Yeah.
Kardashian, look out.
Yeah.
Someone on TikTok has a big
Yeah.
butt. They're shown doing one booty band, and then they're right back.
Kim K's
They
like,
come
this
back, yeah.
is how I got my booty.
Yeah.
And we're like, buying it.
We're like, seems sus.
Yeah,
Really
sus,
cool.
but
Yeah.
bought.
Yeah.
And our last segment before we let you go, we always ask our audience, so we're going to inflict it upon you too. We always have them submit a confession session. So it can be a funny story out with friends because we're hitting the bars, not just the gym, but also it could be something at the gym, just kind of or something to just get off your back. Maybe you do have something you hate, but just a little confession to this safe place on the podcast.
I love that. Oh, for me,
Yep.
if I have a confession.
Yes, you got one.
Oh, my confession. Okay, what is my confession? This is not a confession. I really love candy. I think people don't think I eat candy. But because I look the way I do, and people are like, "Oh, you must eat," but like I love candy, and I just feel like I don't know. I share that on my YouTube too, but like people just don't think that of me. But like I could eat all the candy, and it's like sweet things like lollipops and like candy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really good enough. That's not a good confession. That's the only thing that came to my mind.
Okay, I got one to help you. What's like
Okay.
a candy that you love that you're kind of embarrassed, whether it's like a Werther's Original or something, or like a random candy that you're like, oh, this is
Black licorice.
of course she likes black
Oh,
licorice.
I love licorice. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
But
delicious.
black licorice?
Yeah, she's
I feel like-
Danish. Of
Yeah.
course
Is
she
that a
does.
thing?
Yeah, I was like, don't you dare
It's
ask.
a
I was
Danish
like,
thing, yeah.
I feel like I get
you did.
canceled when I say like black licorice.
No,
I
you
didn't know that was a thing.
Actually, my favorite. Yeah. Oh, I love licorice. It's so good. But also, I eat lollipops like crazy, which is also like something you should get over when you're like my age. But
That's a good
I
one.
don't know if that's a. I think anything sweet. I have such a sweet tooth. I just love sweet stuff.
we love it.
But that's a terrible confession. I'm really disappointed in myself.
we put you on the spot, so you like, don't
Honestly-
put yourself too much pressure.
Keltie is very similar to you with the candy. Or like I remember when she came to visit me in New York, we were like sitting in Central Park and she was like, "Do you want a caramel?" And I'm like, "What? Do you remember this?"
Yeah,
And
I'm-
she just had caramels with her. And I was like, "Are you a grandma?
I love it.
Who has this caramel candy?"
Honestly, anytime I'm in a checkout aisle, whatever's right there, I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that. And then so sometimes it's licorice,
But I'm the one
sometimes
that
it's
bought
caramels.
the candy this time.
I know. So I was like, oh, I'm good. Maybe I have it. You just don't know where it is.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. I was like, but I'm
Like, I'll find
guilty.
it.
I'm guilty of having something.
Yeah.
I always love to bring a little sweet snack too. It's the best.
I love it.
But I think it's important for people to hear that with people like we care a lot about our health, right? But like I know you guys both share that on all your platforms too, but just people have these perspectives of like people that are into fitness, then you just cannot do any of that. But it's all balance, right? So
Exactly.
a
Absolutely.
little candy doesn't hurt.
No.
And if it does, who cares? It's that good.
I mean, it does hurt, but that's
Worth
okay.
Worth it.
Dentists are like, "I hate you."
Oh, my dentist is not happy. No.
Mine's
Definitely
like, remember
not.
those root canals? I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, don't know what those. I got those from carrots.
It's been a few years since I've gone to the dentist because I know.
That's a good confession.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. I think it's been like, oh my gosh, how many years has it been? Maybe 3 or 4 years?
Oh
Because
yeah,
last time they were so disappointed in me, and I was like, well, then there's not really, like, why should I go?
You're like, I don't want to be
I know I should.
yelled at when I go.
I hope
and
my
told.
parents don't listen to this because they would make me. It's
gonna
also
send
just
it
not
to 'em.
comfortable
Yeah,
having that thing in your mouth. Oh my gosh, no.
dude, I'm there with you.
But maybe I should go.
Keltie and I both. I think I waited a long time. You did as well. When you become adults and like you don't have to be forcefully in the chair, you're like, I don't want to go back. I don't really want people touching my mouth. I don't want people drilling into my mouth. Trust me, I hate the dentist, so I feel you.
My YouTube knows I went 8 years without going to the dentist, and my dentist bill last year, I don't even want to talk about it. I could have gone to college again for how much I spent on dental, like wisdom teeth. I had a bridge built. I had 6 teeth pulled. I mean, I was like, go to the dentist, people. Don't wait 8 years, because like I was a broke college
Oh
student.
my
I'm
gosh,
like,
really?
yeah. So here's your reminder, everyone. Don't be like Keltie. Go to the dentist. Go to the dentist.
Pernilla's like, oh
Just
my gosh.
Hearing that you had teeth pulled out is like, I cannot do that.
And it was like always in like I'd be on a plane, like I was on a plane back from Russia, and suddenly just the like most pain I've ever been in, and they're like, oh yeah, your tooth is yeah, I didn't want to say it, but it was decaying, and so they had to go, and they're like, well, we're gonna pull it. I'm like, and then you're in so much pain, you're just like, do it, just get it out
In
of
the
there.
moment?
Huh? No, like as soon as I landed the next day, go to the dentist, and they're like, there's nothing we can do. We just got to yank it. And you think I'd learn after that time? No, let it happen 3 more times. So, yeah.
Wait, you got like a, what's it called when they, so you can't feel as much. What's it called when they like inject?
Oh, Novocaine?
Yeah. Like numbing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Numbing something? Did they do that?
Yeah, they put like numbing cream on, and then like they numb those like this little thing, so you can't really even feel the needle going in. You could still feel it a little, but then the needle puts in all the good stuff, and you can't feel anything. So it's just annoying, but you don't feel it. If anything, you feel good after. You're like, oh, the pain's gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like taking a splinter out.
So do you have like fake teeth?
Yeah, I have 3 fake teeth. These are all fake. It's a bridge.
Oh, wow.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
So
more you
and then no
know.
wisdom teeth back here, and so cute. I know. I'm so
Very
attractive
cute.
with all my
Okay,
fake
so
teeth.
I need to call the dentist.
Yes, everyone call your dentist.
With that being said, we are going to wrap up the podcast by saying call your dentist. And also, where can everybody find you?
I am on, I think, all platforms as Pernilla Stryker. I also have a podcast called Challenge Your Norm. And yeah, Pernilla Stryker on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and I think that's it.
Yeah, we'll put all links below. And thank you for coming on. You're
Yeah,
just a
thank
ray of
you.
sunshine. It was so fun talking.
It was so fun chatting with you guys. Thank you so much for having me. So
It was
fun.
great.
All right. Bye.